We have one more quick review here on lines. We're going to be talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. Again, you've seen this in Algebra 1, maybe many times before that, but let's go through it here and give you a quick refresher. So the idea is this: if you have two lines that have the same slope, you would build them in exactly the same way. So they would never be able to intersect each other. So if they had different y-intercepts but the same slope, up and over, they would never hit. Those are parallel lines because they would never hit each other. Now perpendicular needs one of the lines to go up and it needs the other to go down. So they're going to be in the opposite direction. One's going to be an uphill one, one's going to be down. And you need to make these 90-degree angles here. Mine isn't quite right, but now in order for that to happen, if you had a slope that was 2/3 for one line, the perpendicular is going to turn upside down. It's going to build in the opposite direction, but it also needs to have a negative sign. So it'd be flipped upside down, be the reciprocal, and it would be negative. So that one's going up, the other one would then go down. So these are perpendicular, and parallel have the same slope, and of course it could be possible that neither is true. So if I had these two equations, what I would look for here is I would try to solve them both for y. I'd get them in slope-intercept form. So I have them now in slope-intercept. Now let's take a look at those slopes. Are they opposite? So if you look at these, they're upside down of each other and the opposite sign. These are perpendicular. Okay, so let's try this again. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to get them into slope-intercept form so I can take a look at the slope. So I'm going to divide that 2 over. Now be careful to remember how that, let me show you just in case. Again, you've seen all this before, but so you divide that 2 over, just make sure you remember that 2's got to go to each of them. So it'd be 1/2 x plus 5. Okay, so I've got one of the slopes, it's a half. Now let's do it for the other one. Well, I'm going to just, if I divided that 2 over, it'd look like this, and then I get it 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, so these have two different y-intercepts, and they have the same exact slope. So they would be building in exactly the same way, and therefore they could never possibly hit each other. They must be parallel lines. Okay, so now they want us to, they've given us a line, and they're saying, hey, I don't want this line. I just want a line parallel to it. And our line is going to go through this point right here. Okay, well, what would we do? Well, what we want to do is we want to take the slope from the line they gave us. So first of all, let me see. Yeah, I'm just going to jump ahead here. Well, I don't know. I don't like all that. So let's... Okay, so I swung that over first. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Okay. Now, this is the slope. Not of the line we want, but of the other line. But ours, they told us, is going to be parallel. And we know if ours is parallel, it has exactly the same slope. So what do we have now? Well, we have the slope of our line. We have a point. We've got everything we need. I'm going to do it like this. So you could do the point slope form, that gets you there too. I'm going to plug in my point. 5 equals this. So 3's would cancel. Now, so I've got 5 equals -5 plus b. b therefore must be 10. Okay, so if b is 10, so let's put together our final version of the line. So remember, we had this, but we got to put it all together now. And that is the equation for my line in slope-intercept form. So let's try this again. You can pause it if you want to try on your own. We want a line parallel to this one. Not this one, but one that's parallel to it. So I'm going to solve it. And so I've put it in slope-intercept form. The slope of this line is 5, and ours is parallel to it, so ours is also 5. So I've got y equals 5x plus b. Okay, solving this here. So I plugged in my point. I get b is 3. So my final equation, got to put it all back together, y is 5x plus 3. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. This time we're looking for a perpendicular line. So this is not the line we want. Ours is perpendicular to it. So I'm going to solve for the slope. I'm going to let them do this here. So they've solved it. They put it in slope-intercept form. So 5/3 is the slope from the line, but that's not the one we want. Ours is perpendicular to it. And so we know that would turn that slope upside down and put a negative in front. So we're going to do the same thing now here with -3/5. I'm going to just let them solve this one. They use point slope. We would get the same place. Notice the perpendicular line. Oh, okay, well I thought we were going to work another one there. But so the only difference here is, so we solved it for the slope-intercept form, and ours is perpendicular to that one. So we knew that our slope is turned upside down with a negative out front. Now they used point slope, but we could do -3/5 x plus b. We could plug in our point, and we would find the same thing they did. Okay, quick overview. I hope that rings a bell. So remember, parallel, exactly the same slope, perpendicular, upside down, and with the opposite sign.